Hello and welcome to the Infinity Saga and Beyond, an MCU fan podcast. We are talking Ultimate Spider-Man 7 here that we will be discussing today as we continue our comic read-through of Ultimate Spider-Man. Can you guys believe it has been 7 months since we've started
I
this
know.
already?
It's crazy. It's 7 months, and Chris has shrunken 2 feet, apparently, judging by this. Oh,
I'm back.
but
My name is Jordan. With me is Chris and Ron. How are you guys today?
Ultimately, I'm
doing
doing well.
yeah, there you go. We'll try not to do this episode, but I'm sure once they start flying, it'll just be, it'll be unstoppable. But yeah, no, this was a really fun issue. I think you could probably make the case for it maybe being my favorite. I thought they did some really fun stuff and kind of set the backbone for what these next 6 to maybe 12-ish issues are going to be. So good stuff for sure.
Let's dive in. So we had this issue starts with Dr. Otto Octavius setting them up with the suits, right? And taking another look at the suits for Green Goblin and Spider-Man. And we learned that these are both Stark Tech suits. We knew the Green Goblin one was. I don't know if we knew the Spider-Man one was or not. But he calls it Stark 1.0 for the Goblin and Stark 2.0 for Spider-Man, and I'm just sure there's a whole bunch of anti-MCU people out there that are very upset about this development.
Yeah, no, for sure. But it was kind of cool, and I think that that's something that they're going to play into, because we also saw that these suits have this sort of AI encoding into them, where it's essentially going to be the little voice in their head, and we know that Peter,
like Homecoming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we see that Peter chose himself, of course, and Harry chose his father. So there's going to be a lot of that sort of Raimi Spider-Man of it, coward, of Norman's voice basically talking to Harry. And I think the suits thing is going to be one of the things that he sort of plays into, why does he get the better suit sort of thing. Like that'll be one of the things that slowly starts to shift Harry against Peter.
Just in time for the reveal that they're doing the Green Goblin mask from the Raimi trilogy.
Yes.
So you can have your own. You can role play this if you wanted to.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's a gift for Halloween. It really is. But these suits were really awesome. I really like what Otto Octavius was doing. I like how he says, Harry, you strike me as a Caesar. And he's like, no, I kind of want my dad in there. And that shows you so much into the psychology of Harry. So I really like that. And Peter liking to talk to himself. I'm like, there could not have been a more Spider-Man answer.
True.
Yeah, Hickman too. He's up with the slang. It's fine when he gets like this. Just let him cook. Let Otto Octavius cook.
Let him cook. Oh man, I've never face palmed, but also said I'm totally going to use that forever. At the same time, more than in that moment, it was yeah, definitely threw me off for a second, but it was funny.
And I know I'm starting to get old because I'm starting to not understand slang. Like I understand cook, right? But then you also have people say like, "Oh, he's cooked," as in bad. But you also have "let him cook," as in it's good. Let him keep going. It's like pick a lane.
Well, because when you're doing the cooking, you're that's different than being the cookie. When you're getting cooked,
I could use some cookies.
Cookies now.
Put the cookie down now. Almost at Christmas.
Christmas in July.
Shout out Jingle all the way. Oh, these cookies. Rest in peace, Phil Hartman. One of the funniest scenes I like, just every time, no matter how many times I've seen it over the years. Absolutely on the floor.
Always makes me laugh. Yes.
So funny, dude.
Oh boy. So yeah, they both choose their avatars, right, for their AI voices, and like you said, Peter chose Peter, and we have Harry choosing Norman. And I think you make a good point here that maybe this could be like the thing that does start to maybe bad choice by Harry, right? That it's going to maybe start that divide
Mhm.
a little bit more. Maybe not even like what suit is what, but like Norman being in his ear usually doesn't go well. So I can see that totally being something that starts the catalyst of like the split of these two, and maybe even the descent of Harry.
Yeah, and not to like go ahead, but we kind of have to acknowledge that the covers are already out for 8, 9, 10, what however long in the future,
Probably up to like 20 of them now. Yeah,
probably at this point. But I
the
think
way that they do these.
I think it was 10, uh, 9 or 10. The cover is Harry, and he's on the glider, and he's like holding Jonah, like he's like got him like captured or something. So it doesn't seem like this sort of friction between them is going to take very long. I don't think.
Well, one of my favorite moments in the whole thing was when they're testing out the suits, and Harry is just going off on Peter, and the voice is going, "You're weak. I can't believe you're my son." And then
Mhm.
Peter's like, Peter's voice is like, "You know what? We're fine, but he needs therapy."
Yeah,
And that was one of the best moments in the book for me.
yeah, absolutely. Again, it harkens back. It's going to be very interesting to see that sort of nipping at the back of his ear for Harry, of just all the time, just his father in his ear, just telling him that he's not good enough and he's this and he's that. It's only a matter of when, not if, he that finally causes him to just kind of snap.
Yes, he's probably going to say, "I was something like a goblin myself." Kingpin's side of it here. He meets with Captain Britain. I have to keep reminding myself that this is Captain Britain.
Mhm.
They do call him Britain a lot, but he speaks French. I'm kind of confused on that. But um, I revisited Ultimate Universe too because it'd been a while, and I'm getting ready to dive into the Ultimate. So I wanted to make sure I caught myself up on a lot of this stuff. But we see Fisk kind of looking at a painting of the Maker and saying, I never met him, and that those two kind of talking about the Maker. What you lean on? What did you learn from this run, and like how is this tying in with Ultimates? Because it does have a note about Ultimates 1 in this.
Mhm. Yeah, it seems like I don't know if this in particular is going to tie into the Ultimates. I think this was more the Maker trying to offer his help, because we saw all the bullseye clones there that Captain Britain brought for him, and he's like, "Nope, I'm good. I've got I've got a plan. I've got 6 plans." He says something along the lines of, "Yeah, I have 6 of them." So this was definitely laying the groundwork for the Sinister Six. We've seen them on future covers and stuff as well. So I don't really know if that in particular is setting up anything in the Ultimates. Oh, actually, maybe it will, because we know that it's not going to, like the Sinister Six thing is not going to work out, you would imagine. Peter and Harry are probably going to defeat them. And then Fisk,
Spider-Man Spider-Man, you can usually take care of him. Yeah.
yeah, it would stand to believe. So after that, Fisk is going to have to go back to them sort of with his tail between his legs. And if the Maker even lets him get off, having failed like that and sort of spurning their help for his own plan, he might just be like, "All right, you're done," and get Fisk out of there completely. So it could tie in that way. But I think the sort of main premise of the scene was just to set up the Sinister Six for sure.
Alrighty, let's go ahead and I guess move on to the fight, right? We get these two duking it out as they're trying to give Doc Ock all of the training, um, information that he's able to read off of their statistics and all that science crap. But there's a really cool panel here that I really like. This is art.
Mm.
I love this so much. The reflection of Peter in the Green Goblin's shining
Perfection.
helmet.
Absolute perfection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you guys make of the fight here? This is round one, and like you said, if this goes the wrong way here in issue 10, or as we build up to it, um, we'll see rematches of this.
Well, I think it'll be interesting because in this fight they were kind of practicing, seeing, working out the kinks, but it was real for Harry. It wasn't that real for Peter. And I kind of wonder when Peter's, okay, the gloves are off. This guy's gotta take some humble pie. I think that things could be different because he was completely surprised by how hard Harry was going in this fight. Like, it took him off guard.
Yeah, and it was also sort of them because Ak made a comment about like unlocking the full potential of their suits, and this was kind of them sort of having that homecoming scene. You know what I mean? Where Peter's just kind of learning after he gets the training wheels taken off the suit, and he's like kind of learning all the functions and stuff. There was a little bit of that in here too, for sure.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned that with Doc Ock talking about the suits, but he also mentions when they're doing the AI like voice thing, right? He says uh, it'll be hard to shut off. So I think that's other foreshadowing about how this can go wrong with the Norman aspect, because in order to get it shut off, he said they'd have to do like a full reboot,
Yeah.
kind of like factory settings,
Mm.
and that's what I worry about for them. I think Peter obviously chose the right course. It's him, right? And his voice is always going to be self-deprecating, just like him. But when you have one that is not self-deprecating and is instead uh, attacking you for not being the perfect son, and you start buying into that maybe that causes the shift. And I don't think he'll want to reboot the suit, right? So I think that's going to be an issue where it's kind of like Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
When he doesn't, the thing starts eating his mind, right? Because it starts feeding into it and it starts causing a lot of those delusions and him not wanting to do what he needs to do to be able to fix the chip, So I think that's all really interesting here. But the end kind of sets us up for something interesting here. We have Iron Lad. Yes, this is what he goes by in this universe. Iron Lad. Not Kang. Iron Lad. Tony Stark appearing, and he's like, referencing to the first issue, I said I'd be back in 6 months. I'm back. I have a question for you. Are you a hero yet? We know from the cover for next month, he's on the cover. What do we think's going to go on here? Is this part of the divide? Is it like Iron Man or Iron Lad, comes in and says, I want you guys to be a part of this team, and like Goblin doesn't want to, Peter does, or they both don't want to, they both want to do their separate stuff. Like, what do we think is the conflict here as we go into issue 8 with Iron Lad appearing?
I think that they are both probably going to say no. I think this is just sort of the way to start like ingraining them further in that like bigger world outside of just on the villain side, like to have those interactions with Tony, and you'd imagine probably Steve and all the other Ultimates as well. I do think that they are going to, down the line, they're going to team up and do whatever they got to stop this whole Maker thing. But I think this, the Spider-Man side of it all is going to, for the most part, stay more self-contained. And I think this is just sort of their way of having an issue where they can address it and just kind of get it out of the way, and then full steam ahead into this whole Sinister Six and Harry Peter kind of dynamic of it all.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really interesting thought, because I kind of hope that's the case. I don't want them to like really bleed over too much. I don't want to keep adding books to my pull list.
Yeah.
Same.
But it's a little crossover here and there. It looks like by issue 9, of course, he's not factoring much in it because that's the Sinister Six issue, right? Yep. So we're right back to that. So it looks like maybe just a little detour next month where we're talking about that and building the Ultimate Universe story, but still tying into issue 1 and issue 7.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's funny though that it's issue 1 and issue 7, because these are both the issues that kick off the trade paperbacks, right? So it's kind of like almost like another first issue here where he's appearing, and it's like, all right, we took care of your origin. Now we're coming back and we're actually integrating you into the main story now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You pretty much hit it on the head.
Well,
all right. Anything?
No notes.
When do we get Ultimate Fantastic Four? Can they do that?
True. One other thing from this issue we should mention, though. we saw Robbie Robertson sort of playing
Yes.
the guy with the trench coat in the shadows. You know what I mean? Slipping
Yeah, Deep Throat.
the information. Yeah, Deep Throat in the pictures and stuff to Jonah and Uncle Ben. So he's sort of their guy on the inside of the Bugle, and it seems that the Bugle's sort of putting out the sort of misinformation and intentionally withholding things and distorting facts and all that kind of stuff. So he's kind of the one on the inside trying to fight all of that. I do think at the conclusion of this next 6 issues, the Kingpin's whole empire is going to fall. He's going to be exposed for everything he was doing at the Bugle. They're going to stop the Sinister Six, and that's going to lead to, like I said, him having to go back to the Maker with his tail between his legs, and whatever the Maker decides to do with him there is anybody's guess.
So, can we dive into a little bit of the worldwide Ultimate Universe real quick? I just want to kind of dive into this a bit.
Mhm.
So, the Maker, for people that don't know, Ron, can you kind of explain where he comes from, who he is, and if they don't want to know, they can exit out of this part right here. But we'll kind of talk about some spoilers of the original Ultimate Universe. But just wanted to kind of get that, and then kind of how that's. I have somewhere I'm going with that, but go ahead if you want to explain that to people.
Okay, so yeah, the Maker is an evil version of Reed Richards from the original adaptation was from the Ultimates universe. Basically, the whole family, like, just everything that happens in Reed's life is sort of like the anti version, like where everything went right, everything goes wrong for the Maker, and it's sort of just this. He's again just sort of like the anti-Reed is the most base way that I could put it for anybody out there who doesn't know.
So my question with that, right, like Dr. Doom, very topical right now with this Comic-Con stuff. You can listen to our Comic-Con live reaction as it was going on, and Ron's like, oh no, as it happened on that episode, which is up a few days ago. This Dr. Doom is Reed Richards in this Ultimate Universe.
Mm-hmm.
So, does the Maker exist in this universe right now, or is he somehow able to kind of move between them? Because if so, there's like 2 Reed Richards kind of going around, and neither of them are Mr. Fantastic, which I think is funny.
Yeah, that is interesting. I hadn't thought of that. I'm not really sure because, like, everything that I've known of the Maker, and again, we didn't read Ultimate Invasion, that sort of first 4 issues that led into this. So maybe they explain.
I'm going to, but by next month I'll have that down.
Dope. So yeah, maybe they explain it in that. But yeah, I don't know. That's a really good guess, unless it's like something where like this Reed is actually the Victor Von Doom of this. There's been a lot of weird comic stories where they do that, like Reed is Doom and Doom is Reed and just that kind of stuff. So it could be kind of one of those things as well. But yeah, I'm not really sure off the top of my head.
Yeah, so there really can't be an Ultimate Fantastic Four.
Not yet.
Unless it doesn't feature Reed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So going back to this, we do get to see the offices of the paper at first here, very briefly, as MJ and Gwen, right, are going to try to meet with Jonah and Ben, and they end up being out to lunch, and that's where we get the Robbie stuff. So really, MJ and Gwen feature for like 1 page. That's it. That's all we get from them. We'll maybe get more about them in another issue, but it's mainly a big focus on Peter and Harry in this issue.
Mm. Yeah, got a nice little Girls' Day page in there, and that was basically it for MJ and Gwen in this one. So hey, I mean, I will say though, I am interested to see as Harry and Peter's relationship starts to deteriorate, what happens to MJ and Gwen's friendship, and does that like create tension between the couples themselves? Hopefully not.
Do we still get Goblin dropping Stacy? Gwen Stacy.
Yeah.
We still see that in a different bit of a light.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
Holy,
like a different
wow.
like she to the same conclusion.
She betrays him by siding with them or something.
Ooh, that would be really good, and it would be a good way to add some stakes to this universe for sure.
Yeah, and how do we think Doc Ock's gonna factor in here? Is he gonna get Stark Tech as his arms? Like, is that gonna be part of the Kingpin Sinister Six, or is he gonna be like a long play? Like, we're talking like in the double digit issues that we start getting Doc Ock here, maybe next year, even as like actual Doc Ock. Like, are we playing the long game with Doc Ock?
I would think we're playing the long game. I would think we're playing the long game. We haven't had enough development. I mean, this was actually his biggest development in here. We've kind of had him in the background.
Yeah, I think he's only been in 2 issues.
Yeah, but he talks. So Harry gives the whole intro about how he got to be the right hand man of Norman, and how he's a genius and all this stuff. And I think as long as he's in the lab, he's a danger. But I think it's like a background danger. Like it's the keep it going, keep it in the oven, and then when it's ready to bake, it's gonna be Stark Tech Doc Ock.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Chris.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the cover of issue 9 right now that features the Sinister Six. We've got Fisk on there. We've got Craven on there. We've got Mole Man. We've got Mysterio. We've got Shocker, and we've got I can't really tell who 6 is there. I think I might be Mr. Negative. Yeah, I think it's Mr. Negative. So we know that he's not going to be in this. So I'm guessing that's very much the long play. He'll probably be the last, unless they save the Harry thing for like way down the line, which I don't think they will. I'd assume that Ock will probably be like the last villain of this Ultimates, assuming that it's only going to go for the 24 months that we mentioned, that like all these Ultimates books are sort of slowly like getting towards. I think Ock will probably be the last major villain in this story before we get to that, whatever the hell the maker's doing, like a year and a half from now.
No, yeah, I think that's right. I think we'll mainly get the so I'm looking at a variant cover of issue 9, and it has like MJ and Gwen sitting in the offices of the paper, it looks like. So I wonder if they're going to be working.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Variants are tough. Variants are tough.
Yeah, I know.
Because most of the time they're just like cool art that kind of like don't always necessarily tie into this. I mean, we even see real covers do that, but especially with variant covers. So it could be, but I'm not sure. Who knows? Maybe that could be like they could be trying to do the same thing of like sort of trying to infiltrate the or no. This would be they went and visited Ben and Jonah's paper, right? So that would make sense that they would be kind of working with them, kind of helping them expand their reach, if you will.
Yeah, because like Gwen is a part owner. She's funding, like she wanted to give money for it, right?
Probably, yeah.
He's an investor.
I think that was in the dinner issue or something that they were talking about.
It's so tough to remember all this shit.
You don't reread these every month?
No, yeah, right. No, exactly.
Not a real fan.
Yeah. I always go back and read the last one before, but like even still.
Oh, do you?
Usually I'll try to. By usually I mean like half the time if I feel like it. I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough to do that sometimes because you have to, it'll be nice to like revisit it again. The good thing about Marvel is that they give you the digital issue as well. So like once I do put these away in my like comic box, and it's right now in the basement because of the baby, it's like harder for me to get to. So once that's there, I'm able to just pop it out on the app and revisit it that way.
Bada bing. Yeah.
Bada boom.
And plus it helps me get the screen caps here for the podcast. So that works out.
Oh, true. Yeah. So we got.
All right. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up, right? No, I mean, great issue. Just not a lot of like deep stuff to really talk about. So that's why we kind of went on a few tangents and talking about that stuff. So I guess let's go ahead. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Let's plug what we got going on currently here. So just want to thank anybody that listened to the podcast in the last like week and a half, because our last 4 episodes are are in the top 10 of our all-time listens, and they've just been absolutely killing it. Deadpool and Wolverine, the Comic-Con stuff has been absolutely killing it. So thank you for checking that out. You can also rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And I think Spotify's starting to add comment features as well. So you might be able to leave comments on how they're rolling those out. But we had a lot of fun going live for that. And, when D23 happens, if any big thing is announced, we'll come on here and talk about it afterwards and do some wrap up of D23. We have Agatha coming up here, and Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the cartoon formerly known as Freshman Year, is premiering this year later as well. So yeah, and then Ron and I will be doing the X-Men comic book stuff next week. We'll kind of talk about where we are on this relaunch of X-Men and how it's going so far. I think X-Men will have had 2 issues, and Uncanny will have 1, or is it 1 and 1?
Yeah, 1 and 1 Phoenix.
1 and 1.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, and Phoenix. There you go. Which Ron will give us a little hot corner of the Phoenix stuff, since I'm not reading that one currently. And then continuing to do Ultimate Spider-Man every time that drops, which I think August is like mid-month. It's not as late as this month. So we'll be back sooner than you know. Wrapping all of that up over on the Pod Awakens. Ron and I just had our Acolyte Postmortem, where we had 2 special guests. Jessica from Tales of the Force and MT came on to talk about just the series as a whole, all 8 episodes, where we landed on it, prospects of a second season. All of that great stuff is over on there. And Chris and I will be getting together to talk about the Comic-Con stuff for the DC side of it later next week. And then I think we're also going to have some Batman Caped Crusader stuff coming soon for you as well. So lots of stuff to look forward to on all of our podcasting fronts.
Hell yeah, brother.
But yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching and listening along. We'll catch you next time here on To the Infinity Saga and Beyond.